Hey guys, Reagan with Texas Defense Articulations. I'm not really a gun tuber or anything like that, but however, I've been an instructor for about 12 years now, and anybody who's been in one of my pistol courses knows I have a soft spot in my heart for the 1911 platform. It's one of the ones I shoot the most. So I've been asked for this for a little while on what I thought of these Tisas pistols, or Titas, or Tetons, or Titties, or whatever the pistol is supposed to be called. And I honestly looked at the price and was like, it's probably not really that great because it's about 600 bucks for one, or 500 depending on which one you're getting. So now fast forward a year or two and they start making the, whatever this is called, the Raider, right? Which is supposed to be a copy of the 1911 that the Marine Corps had, or the MARSOC had for a while, that actually was kind of a failure. But either way, it's very iconic. And so that popped up and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give that one a whirl because it's tan. Why not? Why not give it a whirl? So I did find one on the shelf at Superior and Longview, so I picked it up and started doing some shooting. So let's just talk about the good stuff first. How's that sound? So the Cerakote on this is done very, very well. I've had some Cerakote done before that was in this lighter colored tan that was on a factory gun, and I get it and start cleaning it, and first thing I do is clean all the oils and crap off of it for shipping and put real grease on it, and it you'll notice on the rags that some of that Cerakote's actually coming off. So did not have that issue with this particular one, and it looks really well. It does look like it has had some time spent on it fitting. It is not like super rough like a box of rocks or anything like that. Like, you kind of run into a parkerized gun for around these prices that sometimes will be that way because the parkerization hasn't been polished or anything like that. So it is a forged slide and forged frame, which means it's going to be a good base gun if you decide to do a whole bunch of crap to it. So even if you threw all the guts away and replaced them all with higher end stuff, you would actually still have a good base for a good pistol. So that's pretty impressive. So like that, the grips on it are super aggressive. I'm a huge fan of like the really aggressive grips, so I have to put less pressure in it from the sides to keep that recoil down, especially on a 1911 platform. So I do like that part of it also. So I did have an issue with it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when I started breaking this thing apart, what I first started looking for on the ambi safety and the hammer and all this was actually the little spots from a metal injected molded part. And I did not find them. So I started looking them up. And sure enough, in 2022, they decided that there were not going to be any MIM parts or MIM parts that go into these guns. So the only one that is the recoil spring, recoil spring guide, which is a GI model, so it's about yay big. So that's pretty cool. I'd like to see that. So let's talk about the bad stuff. So bad stuff, we'll do the easy things first. The sights are okay. Whatever they finish them in is a little bit on the glossy side, so they tend to shine a lot. They are not serrated, so it's can be a little bit difficult in certain lighting conditions to get a good solid sight picture, which you should always be shooting for accuracy to a high extent, so that does actually matter. That's why you see a lot of serrated sights on the front and the rear to make that a little bit easier in the super bright sunlight, because I'm in Texas and it's hot and shiny right now. So yeah, there we go. So let's see. One of the other big things that I was not a fan of, and this is supposed to be a clone, but we understand it's only partial. One of the things I didn't like is it didn't have the dual recoil setup that goes into it. Went into the old Marine MARSOC ones. It was a spring inside of a spring, which is probably stupid anyway. But it wasn't in there. I was like, I was kind of disappointed in it. I guess I didn't hate it or anything like that. So big thing that I did not like is when I got it out of the box and started shooting it after I cleaned it up and put grease on it and Slip 2000 all over it like it should be, and it's sounding real nice. I start shooting it and it malfunctions every other magazine. So what was going on is this slide lock was just getting pushed up into the slide during the firing process, and so I ran it past Paladin Arms over in Longview, does my 1911 work when I have something done, and I was like, yeah, what would be causing this? It's still got like 3 rounds in the magazine, and it's locking back, and it's not consistent or anything like that. It's like, sounds like plunger spring is a little bit weak. So I did pull it apart. That's where I started looking for all the MIM stuff, compared it to another one, and sure enough, it's about 1/8 of an inch too short. So I did actually stretch it and put it in the other gun to see if that's gonna work, because it's a 9mm, and this one's 45, and I put that one in here. It did happen one more time in the first magazine after I did that, and then after another 100, 150, 200 rounds, it hadn't done it again. So I was like, okay, maybe it had a little lubrication issue going in there. There's a joke there somewhere. So, and what I had noticed is when he told me that, I'm like, you know what? It is weird. The safety feels like it goes down a little too easy. There's another joke in there too. So I was a little like, that kind of sucks. When I swapped it out, it definitely changed how positive the safety was. So that's the gripe there, is that it actually didn't work all that well out of the box. When I had the barrel out to do the cleaning, I noticed there's a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of more wobble on the barrel linkage than I typically run into with some of my other 1911s that I shoot. So, and some of them are pretty expensive, so I totally get that there's going to be a difference there. So that was a little annoying. The biggest gripe I have on this gun, however, is it does have this ambi safety, and I'm a big fan of ambi safeties on 1911s. However, you'll notice on the driver's side here, right-handed, for the right-handed shooter, it's beveled, right, and fitted and all that, so it doesn't cut into your hand. However, once you switch from your right hand to your left hand, because you should be shooting support hand also, support hand only also, because we don't train to the lowest common denominator, right? Right, so learn to shoot with your support hand if you haven't done it. It is not beveled or fitted or anything. It is what I call sharp. So it will, I got about 5 rounds into it and I'm like, this sucks. So yeah, I still did it a few more times because I'm dumb. But that is one of the reasons I'm shooting this video now tonight when I'm supposed to be up in the house with my family, is I am gonna take a Dremel to that, and that is getting fixed because it sucks. Now, bottom line, is this gun worth the money? Yeah, for 600 some odd dollars. I mean, less than, it was like 650 or something out the door, maybe a little bit less, right? Yeah, absolutely. If it's no MIM parts or anything like that, it fitted pretty well, the finish is fine, great. Yeah, it's absolutely. Is it going to beat every $1,000, sub-$1,000 1911? No, not a chance. It's not. It's just not going to be fitted as well or anything like that. You can run into like the Springfield Garrison's under $1,000, and it is definitely fitted better than this one is, the parts putting together and everything like that. So I'm not going to deep dive in on that or anything. However, this may be the better one, sub $1,000, that has all these features like ambidextrous safety and this rail on it, specifically the rail, right? Because I would rather this thing not have an ambi than have this poor ass excuse for an ambidextrous safety. So, however, again, it's fixable, and I'll probably do it for almost free. So anyway, it does have a polymer trigger. It's not really a big deal. One of the complaints that I did get from other people was like, oh, the trigger sucks. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I picked this one up in the shop and realized immediately that it did not suck. It wasn't going to be, beating any of my professional or TRP series pistols or anything like that, but it does actually work very nice. It's very light, not a lot of over travel or anything like that, and there's no creep to it. So, and, I've only got about 500-ish rounds through this gun, so it will break in and probably do better. So, there's my 2 cents on the Tisas pistols. I don't know if it's going to have super longevity. When I say longevity, I'm talking 70, 100,000 rounds. That may not be your bag, and it doesn't matter. In that case, I would say it's probably a pretty cool thing to grab. And let's be honest, this tan looks cool. All right, I am way past the time I wanted to spend on this, so out.